Hello and welcome to Elecspo, and today we're talking about the States. United States. Way back when our good friend Alfie from HITC7 made a video about the USA's best starting 11 if any possible player declared their intentions to play soccer for the red, white and blue of America. And today, I want to see if his team would actually be any good. So alongside the likes of Christian Pulisic and Giovanni Reina, the USA will now be able to call upon Trent Alexander-Arnold, Thomas Delaney, Darren Randolph, the Funes Mori brothers, Isaac Brizuela and Jeremy Toljan. While some of those names aren't wildly exciting, perhaps they can restore some glory for the USA, who actually missed the 2018 World Cup in Russia. At the start of the simulation, they're the 20th best team in the world, but can they improve that with all the new players over the next 6 years? Let's find out. Right, here we are at the start of the simulation, and as you can see, the USA are the 20th best team in the world, but they've got some big new players joining their team. While Christian Pulisic is still deemed the top player, he's alongside Trent Alexander-Arnold, Thomas Delaney and Ramiro Funes Mori and Jeremy Toljan. There's also Rogelio Funes Mori, who's the lad who was at Everton's brother. He's a striker, playing for Monterrey I believe. But will these players be able to take USA back to some sort of glory? The last won the Gold Cup in 2019, which is alright, nothing wrong with that at all. But they missed the 2018 World Cup, which was pretty embarrassing to be honest with you. But now they've got a new key player, Trent Alexander-Arnold, big names like Thomas Delaney, and they've got young players coming through, the likes of Pulisic, the likes of Reina, even Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie. This could be a good era for the United States, and with this added sprinkling of top players, perhaps they can do even better and maybe even, do something half decent at a World Cup. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to simulate a couple of years into the future. We'll see how USA get on in the Gold Cup, and we'll also see how they get on at the World Cup in Qatar. Will they qualify? Let's find out. Let's simulate 2 years into the future. Right, here we are 2 years into the future, and the USA have massively improved with all their new players. They've gone from 20th in the world to an impressive 12th. It's all changed now. Thomas Delaney is now the captain, and their top player, well, here on the top players is Trent Alexander-Arnold. The key player is actually Weston McKennie. So the USA's young generation with this smattering of stars like Trent and Thomas Delaney seem to have done a pretty good job. Let's have a little look at the national team, see how many of them are still in the squad. We've got Ramiro Funes Mori playing centre back, Trent as right wing back, Delaney in the middle and Rogelio Funes Mori leading the line. It looks like Darren Randolph and Isaac Brizuela are the only two who aren't actually in the squad anymore. To be honest, considering the latter, I wasn't really sure who he was. It's just typical Alfie trying to be cool and trendy and picking players that no one really knows about and talking about Turkmenistan football or things like that. Has he done a video about Turkmenistan? Probably has, it's a weird place. Anyway, so the USA, they've still got Trent in the team, they've still got Delaney, they've still got the Funes Mori bros, and Jeremy Toljan's on the bench as well. In terms of the best players, it looks like it's Funes Mori the striker and Trent Alexander-Arnold the right wing back. Those two are doing brilliantly for the USA, but have they guided the United States to glory? Let's check their schedule out, see how they've got on in 2021, and sadly they didn't win the Gold Cup. They were beaten in the semi-finals by Jamaica. Jamaica are another team who I'm going to do a video in this kind of theme of players who are now going to represent Jamaica. That's going to be coming in some point in the future, but a disappointing Gold Cup performance from the USA. They won all the group games, they beat Honduras, they beat Bermuda, they beat Panama, goals from Delaney, goals from Funes Mori. Then they beat Curacao in the quarters and were beaten 1-0 in the semi-finals by Jamaica. Wildly disappointing, even more disappointing. But while they were beaten in the Gold Cup semi-finals, the United States are heading to the World Cup. I don't know why a couple of minutes ago I said this World Cup would have happened in the winter of 2021, because obviously it's not happening, because it's going to be happening in the winter of 2022, you idiot James. By the way, the USA made it through the qualifiers. It looks like they've absolutely blitzed it, to be honest with you, and they're going to be playing in a group alongside Brazil, Iran and Morocco. To be honest, obviously Brazil, very tough opponents, but I think they'll be able to make it through that. They should beat Iran, and they should beat Morocco, who I've just merged and said Moran. What? Oh, come on, man. Although suppose if Iran and Morocco formed a team, I still don't think they'd beat the USA. The USA have got a good chance to make it through to the knockout stages of the World Cup in Qatar, even without their new players, but with them, they've got a great chance. And this video has gotten off to a wondrous start. That's a lie, no it hasn't, other than the world rankings. they've gone up 8 places, that's great, but they still didn't win the Gold Cup. I mean, they won it in 2019 without Trent. With them, they couldn't even get past the semis, so I don't know why I said it's been a great start. That was an absolute lie. I'm very sorry to have lied to all of you. But will things pick up in the next couple of years? I'm going to simulate another 2 years into the future. We'll have had another Gold Cup, and we will have had the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Perhaps by the time we've simulated once more, the USA could be champions of the world. Probably not, but stranger things have happened. Let's find out. Right, here we are another couple of years into the future. We're into 2024, and the USA are exactly where they were before. They are still the 12th best team in the world, which for my money is pretty damn good. Giovanni Reina now the top player alongside Trent Alexander-Arnold. They're both playing for Liverpool, which is good to see. In terms of captain, it's now Weston McKennie, and the key player is listed as Cameron Carter-Vickers, which is alright. He's just signed for Celtic, so hopefully he'll be doing alright there in the real world. Let's have a little look at the national team, and it actually looks like the USA have picked a reserve side almost for these 2024 friendlies, because there's no one really of interest in this squad. I mean, Josie Altidor's still kicking about there. You've got no Christian Pulisic, you've got none of the big names, so let's not really pay any attention to this squad, and let's have a little look at the schedule and see how they got on at the World Cup and in the 2023 Gold Cup. We'll start with the World Cup, and my oh my did they get off to an incredible start in Qatar. They beat Brazil 2-1 in the first game. John Brooks and Folarin Balogun with the goals. It was a 2-1 win, and they followed that up against Iran with a 1-0 win courtesy of Trent Alexander-Arnold getting his first goal at a major tournament. I bet he never thought it would come for the USA, but you know, stranger things have happened. Sadly, they didn't win all of their group games. They were beaten by Morocco 2-0. But it didn't matter because they went through to the second round, where they went down to 9 men and were beaten 1-0 by the World Cup holders, France. So the World Cup dream died in the second round, but considering they had to play France, it's no real surprise that they got knocked out. If only they'd beaten Morocco, they would have came top of the group, and they would have had a much easier draw in the second round. They lost the discipline clearly in that game. Bello and Giovanni Reina both seeing red. And that was before the French goal, so I mean, it was easy for the last 20 minutes by the time USA had 2 men sent off, and Adrien Rabiot got the goal to put the French through and break USA hearts. But on to 2023, and when it came to the Gold Cup, they went one better than in 2021, but once again it has ended in disappointment. This time they made it all the way to the final. They blitzed their group, they beat the Qatar B team for some reason, Suriname were beaten, and Martinique were beaten 4-0. They beat Canada in the quarterfinals, Trent and Funes Mori getting on the score sheet. Then they beat Costa Rica in the semis with ease, Funes Mori scoring once again. Then they met their arch nemesis Jamaica. I don't really think they're arch nemesis, but they are in this simulation. They were beaten by them in the semis in 2021, and this time they beat them in the final. 2 goals in the first 5 minutes gave Jamaica the win, and giving them their first ever Gold Cup. As for the USA, while they've had the disappointment of the Gold Cup, and maybe they could have gone further in the World Cup, I mean, they weren't going to beat France, they've had some good friendly results here since the Gold Cup disappointment. They've beaten Holland, they've beaten Argentina, they got a draw with Germany, they beat Switzerland, they blitzed past Switzerland. Now in 2024 things haven't been quite as good, but I'm assuming they haven't been playing over the summer. It looks like the likes of Trent and whatnot just haven't been playing, but I mean they're still eligible to be playing. They haven't retired just yet. You can see there, it would say if he'd retired from international football. 48 caps for the USA for Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'm still impressed they're 12th in the world, to be honest. That's quite good, you know, to be the 12th best team in the world. In terms of non-European teams, you've only got Brazil, who they beat, Argentina, who they've also beat, and Nigeria ahead of them. That's pretty good in terms of non-European teams. In terms of just North America, Mexico are the next best thing in 15th. Then after that, you've got to go all the way to 30th to find Jamaica. But at least Jamaica have won a trophy in this simulation. Would USA be happier if they were 30th and had a Gold Cup? Probably, because at the end of the day, you don't win a trophy for being the 12th best team in the world. But I'm going to simulate another couple of years. They're going to have another World Cup. They're going to have another chance at the Gold Cup. Can they stay in 12th? Can they go higher? Can they win a trophy? Will our new players return to the starting 11? All that's to come when we simulate another 2 years into the future. Okay, here we are for the final time. We are 6 years into the future, and the USA have gone slightly down in the rankings, but they're still in the top 20. They've gone from 12th to 15th, which in the grand scheme of things is still alright. Over 6 years, they have still improved. Even though they've gone slightly backward, that's fine. 15th in the world isn't bad at all. Let's have a little look at the national team, and our big names have returned. They've gone through a back four now. They've had a change of manager. Trent's in there. Thomas Delaney sitting on the bench. And actually, that looks to be it. The Funes Mori brothers have disappeared. Jeremy Toljan on the bench as well. And even Darren Randolph hasn't been recalled by 2026, which to be honest isn't that big a surprise. So basically now it's just a three-man show of Thomas Delaney, Jeremy Toljan and Trent Alexander-Arnold, but they're still there and they're still trucking along. But how did they get on in the past couple of years? Let's go to 2025, we'll go to the Gold Cup, and for the third time in a row they have been beaten by Jamaica. The USA incredibly didn't concede a goal all tournament. That must have been down to Trent being in defence. It can't be anything else other than that. They won 4-0 against Cuba, 2-0 against Suriname, 3-0 against Honduras. They beat El Salvador 4-0 in the quarters. Then they got Jamaica once again in the semi-finals. They drew 0-0 and they lost on penalties. But Trent scored his penalty, so really it doesn't matter that much. He did his bit. What more could you ask for? In 2026 they were in the World Cup because of course it was their World Cup alongside Canada, alongside Mexico, and it was a World Cup where they didn't really stay long. In their first game they were in a three-man group alongside Russia and Gambia. They drew 1-1 with Russia and then they absolutely smashed Gambia 7-2. That set up a second round tie with Switzerland where they lost on penalties. But once again Trent Alexander-Arnold scored his spot kick. So at least my players, the ones I've put in this team, have actually been pulling their weight. But over 6 years the USA, in the terms of the Gold Cup, they've basically made enemies of Jamaica. They are literally their bogey team, beaten in 2 semi-finals, beaten in a final. As for the World Cup, they've made it through the group stages twice, and the second round was as good as it got. In terms of world rankings, they've climbed the ranks to 15th, which is alright. Trent still one of their top players, and so is Thomas Delaney. Perhaps the USA needed a few more players in this team to really take it to the next level, because to be honest, I don't know if they've actually made that much of a difference. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. But we are going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Elecspo. And until next time, we will see you around.